Hello, how are you doing? This video to simplify VMware NSX or to explain it. So let's start. If we have, for example, a lot, let's draw. If we have, for example, a lot of ESXs here, these are VMware ESXis, and these ESXis is managed by a vCenter. So in order to install the NSX, we install 3 NSX managers, and on these NSX managers, with some of them will be the master, we will add on it the VMware vCenter, which we will see the vCenter inventory from it. And in this design, we have, or we get benefit from having these ESXs in a cluster and having also HA, high availability, and also DRS, and on top of it we can have VDS, virtual distributed switch. This VDS is spanned all over these ESXs to simplify management. VDS. And we talk here about 4 ESXis, but imagine if we have 100 ESXis. So VDS will be a simple solution here. So when we add vCenter to the NSX manager do ESXis hosts preparations and packages installation in order for these ESXis to be ready for NSX infrastructure. So building on top of that, and especially on that stage, we then start to create our first thing, which is a transport zone, and we are going to create 2 transport zones. One of them will be VLAN based transport zone, and the other thing will be overlay transport zone. And to explain what transport zone is, so if we have here our ESXis, so a transport zone is an object that depicts how far NSX traffic will replicate through these ESXis. This transport zone is applied on a cluster of ESXis here, and this means that if we have another ESXi here which is out of this transport zone, so it will not receive any configuration of the NSX. So imagine transport zone is like 2 walls, and all NSX traffic is here, meaning within these walls. So what exactly VLAN transport zone and overlay transport zone? That's what we are going to do. So imagine again that we have here our ESXis. They are on a transport zone, but in this case it will be the overlay transport zone, and this overlay transport zone will handle the east-west traffic. On top of these ESXis will be our VMs, our containers, for example, and the virtual infrastructure. On top of that, we have here an edge cluster, and this edge cluster contain like 2 VMs, each VM having a tier 0, something that is called a tier 0 gateway and tier 1 gateway. A tier 0 gateway here and a tier 1 gateway here. They are usually like the routers in the physical environment. So let's say that this is edge 1, this is edge 2. And the reason to have 2 edges in this edge cluster for high availability, and these tier 0s connects to ISP 1, for example, and ISP 2, for example. So each tier 0 here have 2 connections, connection to ISP 1, ISP 2, tier 0 here also have a connection to ISP 1, ISP 2, and then we have our internet, Mr. Internet. Inside of each edge, there is a software connection here between tier 0 and tier 1. Explaining more, so tier 1 is a tenant gateway. So if we have, for example, tenant 1 and tenant 2 for multi-tenancy in a cloud, for example, and tenant 2 and tenant 3, and here is our cloud. So what we need exactly is to separate all these tenants from each other in order not for data to be shared between these tenants. Otherwise there will be no security here. So to do this isolation, we should have here a tier 1 gateway, a tier 1 gateway here, a tier 1 gateway here, across all these cloud tenants or customers. And sure, there are VMs, containers here, VMs, containers here, VMs, containers here in this tenant. So consider here that tier 1 is the default gateway for these VMs, and here also it is the default gateway. Default gateway. So returning to what we said here, so our VMs here will be connected to this T1, for example, or these T1s, and these T1s will be connected to the upstream tier 0s here, and tier 0s will be connected to the upstream routers on the physical network and then to the internet. So here will be the actual VLAN transport zone is living. And if you have a huge environment, so the maximum VLANs that you can create is 4096 VLANs. So returning to the slides, so VLAN is for uplinks and exactly for the north-south traffic, and overlay is for east-west traffic. Okay, so remember than that we are talking now on the NSX4 version, which is the latest until now. And in older versions, these tier 0 and tier 1 were like VMs. VM1 here, for example, and VM2. But now these edges, this is a complete VM, and this is a complete VM. And tier 1 and tier 0s is a process within this VM. Okay, so as you see, NSX is so simple to be understood. What we are going to shed the light on right now is the overlay traffic, which is super easy also. So let's draw here. For example, if we have again host 1 ESXi and ESX